Hey, howdy everybody, welcome back to my garbage channel with the garbage man himself. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the subreddit r/entitledparents. I just thought this would be a fun little thing I could do from time to time. If you guys want that, just let me know, it'd be fun. Obviously, before we get started, I want to plug my Twitter to where you can DM me stories. If you got any funny stories, DM me them and I will feature them in the video. And if you end up enjoying this video, make sure to like and comment. If you want to see more from me, you should subscribe as well, but obviously wait till the end, or if you you don't have to, obviously. And if you don't know what to comment Karen. I feel like it fit the video, and plus I want to see if commenting helps push the algorithm for my videos to be seen. It probably does. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first story we're going to be looking at today is titled, "Friend's entitled mother demand I hand over my phone and car keys." So we're clearly starting off strong with a good story, and I assume this is gonna have something to do with a mother stealing car keys. I know, and that's the big brain observation of the year, people. Biggest brain observation of 2022. Like, I'm on Albert Einstein levels of genius. I'm on Sherlock Holmes levels of observation skills, and the year only started, but I can tell that's going to be the best observation ever. Anyways, I'm going to stop wasting time and let's get started with the story. My friend is currently in college. He used to live in a shared apartment and worked in a bookstore to meet his expenses. His parents have always been controlling. One of the rules they had was that he couldn't be out after 7 p.m. On this particular day at work, he attended to some stock and that just came in that was keeping him sometime after 7. His mom video calls him was like the usual. He starts to explain why he was out late when she asked him. I remember feeling bad for him, but that wasn't the end of the story. 10 minutes later, his parents were actually at the store. His dad was talking to the store owner. He wasn't yelling or anything, just kind of explaining that it's dangerous for their child to be out after 7. At this point, I'm wondering whether something really bad happened to my friend or someone close to them at some point that made his parents this overprotective. Well, you gotta give kudos to the dad for actually being calm. That's kind of rare whenever you have overprotective parents, that both of them are usually insane. Then the mother turns and walks towards me and asks me what I was doing there. I calmly explain why, and she starts screaming about how she misjudged me and how I was leading their child down a bad path and how I should be ashamed of myself. Oh yes, because the most shameful thing in existence, not being a bad person or stealing or doing drugs. Nah, the most shameful thing is being out after 7 p.m. on your job. Make sure you never have a job where you have to work at 7 p.m. Imagine having to explain that to an employer. Like, sorry mate, my parents aren't gonna let me work after 7 p.m. or else they're gonna come here and murder you in your sleep. Must be really hard to get jobs like that if you have to explain that you can't work after 7. I stood there in shock for a couple seconds before she started pulling my t-shirt and demanding I give her my phone. In parentheses, I shouldn't be having one because I am not a responsible adult and I will use my phone to lead people astray. Yes, because that's the first thing people think about when using their phones, is that they should be poisoning the minds of the youth. God, we should all just throw them into the lake or something like that, because obviously cell phones are what's poisoning the youth. She starts grabbing at my pockets, demanding my phone and car keys. She was finally pacified by the store owner and my friend, while his dad was telling me I should have handed over the phone to his wife because now he will do everything in his power to ruin my life. In parentheses, again, very calmly. Words that came out of that woman's mouth while shouting at me. You cannot refuse, that is our phone. Everything you have belongs to your parents and that they will give it to me. There were also some insults about my mother's fidelity, in parentheses again, which is a very huge insult in my culture, and the person who said it is usually met with a fist to their face. Like, wow. Karen thinking that the cell phone manufacturers are controlling their children, brainwashing them. But that's kind of where the story ends. It's kind of abrupt, but it's whatever. I still enjoyed the story because, like, Lord Almighty, I've never heard of a Karen like this. Like, I've seen other Karens just trying to take stuff from people because they think they deserve it. But no, this is just on another level of Karenism. Alright, the second story we're looking at today is when my sister was 6, she set the backyard on fire. Evil Mama Bear blames me when she was at fault. And after reading a title like that, how could I resist? At the time, I was more or less babysitting my sister while my parents were at work, but why they thought it was a good idea to have a 9-year-old babysit a 6-year-old is beyond me. That is the first red flag, that they thought it was a good idea to have a 9-year-old babysit a 6-year-old, which I'm pretty sure is illegal. So, it's one of the few things I did hold against my dad when I realized later on how bad of an idea it was, but we were instructed to stay indoors while my parents were at work. My sister, being the hyperactive brat, she loved to screw with me. Even if I so much put her in timeout, she'd tell our mother, entitled Mother Bear, and entitled Mother Bear would try and punish me for it. So we have a favorite child in this situation. Obvious favoritism. It's never healthy. The fact that your mother isn't picking favorites is just absolutely ridiculous. I set up my sister to play video games in the den and just went into the living room for a while to play my Game Boy Color and be left alone. I left the Game Boy's volume low just so I could keep an ear out. Things seemed fine, but after a few minutes, my sister ran to the room and started jumping up and down on the couch like it was a trampoline. I told her to stop, but she blew me a raspberry. Big mistake while jumping, and she bit her tongue. Then started crying that I'd hurt her and ran into her room sobbing. Okay, so I can see where this is going. The daughter is going to tell the mother that the son hurt her, and the mother is going to murder him. I don't know. I called my dad to let him know what happened. He groaned and said it wasn't my fault and that he'd deal with the EMB later if she blamed me for it. Well, EMB did blame me for it. My sister had really bit her tongue or something because she was talking with a lisp for days. EMB was ready to ground me, so I called Dad and put him on the phone with her. And together we explained that it wasn't my fault. I told her to stop jumping on the couch. She kept doing it anyways. So she did it to herself. EMB was furious and told me to just get out of her sight, and I did. Making myself scarce had become a talent at that point. Okay, this is starting to sound like just straight up abuse at this point. This isn't even entitled parents. This is just abusive parent. Also, huge W to your dad for being understanding and helpful. Because, Lord, I would hate to have to deal with that. Fast forward to late summer, the driest time of the year. And I was doing my usual routine of making sure my sister was situated, entertaining herself, then went to another room to play my Game Boy. I noticed after a while things seemed too quiet, so I got up to check on my sister when she suddenly came in, running through the back door, screaming and crying to me in broken English from a tongue lisp that she goofed up. The moment she uttered the word fire, I was running outside. A whole patch of dry grass and a part of the back fence was on fire. I got the hose and sprayed it down till it was all out. The fence was a little scorched, but otherwise okay, and none of the neighbors were home, so they didn't see. When I was confident that the area was sufficiently soaked, I looked around it and found a soggy box of Easy Light matches on the ground near my dad's barbecue. The lid was also off of the barbecue. I picked up the matches and went back inside and asked my sister what she'd done. She didn't want to tell me, but I made her spit it out. She was playing with the matches over dad's barbecue, but lit one too fast and dropped it. Then it set the ground on fire, so she came and got me. I called Dad to tell him what happened, and he rushed home. He hugged us both repeatedly, asked if we were okay. I said I was, but my sister wouldn't stop screaming and crying. Dad then called entitled Mother Bear to tell her what happened. And later when she came home from work, she ran straight to me and looked like she was geared up to slap me. But when my dad right there near me, she instead just started to yell at me. Okay, so this sounds like it... So obviously from the Game Boy language and stuff, this sounds like it was a story from the 80s and you're probably an adult now, but still, that doesn't make it okay for parents to just slap people in the face for stuff they didn't do. Your mother shouldn't have done that to you. That's horrible. I actually cringed when I read that because, Jesus, how... This isn't entitled parents, this is abusive parent. I know the story ain't finished yet, but I'm sorry you had to go through that. I feel for you. Thank God your dad was there, or else she would have actually slapped you. So... Again, huge W to your dad. She was saying that it was my fault and that I should have been watching my sister constantly. Well, Dad didn't stand for that. Then he started grilling EMB over the fact that she had left the matches on the counter because she used them for scented candles. Yeah, that's right. She left them out and that's how sis got them. Okay, that's just a wow. Lord almighty. And the truth comes out like a gay person. I don't know. I couldn't think of a funny joke there. Shut up. But yeah, so it turns out it's the mother's fault this whole time. She was the one who left them out for the child to get them. Yeah, that's a good parent. Mother of the Year award right here. My parents ended up arguing because EMB wanted to punish me for what happened, but my dad refused the letter and even called her out on the fact that she just leaves sis in another room and barely checks on her when she's home and watching her as well. So entitled Mother Bear, realizing that she was beat, realized that we needed to go back to using a babysitter for a while. Dad agreed to that, and that's how we got Mindy, the teenage girl who babysat us for roughly a year. She was nice and pretty much my first crush too. But she eventually left because EMB drove her nuts trying to micromanage everything over the phone. And I don't blame Mindy. I would have actually left too. Like, God, dude. Imagine having to deal with that kind of woman. Like calling you constantly when you're watching the kids. Like, that would just be so unfun. Dad made sure that anything like matches and lighters were on lockdown at a place my sister couldn't get at them. So as far as I know, sis never got to play with matches like that again. Not long after the incident, my dad and I repainted the fence and spread some grass seeds around the yard, so the whole incident was forgotten pretty quickly. I'm not even sure the neighbor noticed because the fire didn't make it to their side of the fence, and they'd have to look through a 6-foot wall fence in our yard to see it. Entitled Mother Bear still held to the belief that it was all my fault for some time though, and tried to say that to anyone who'd listen. I had to correct her for years, saying that she was the one who left the matches out and tried to pin everything on me as soon as she got home. I would also mention the near slapping. I had my story so down pat that I turned into a motor mouth until it was all stated aloud. The fact I had to have memorized the speech about it tells you how prepared I was with dealing with Entitled Mother Bear, even back then. I corrected her once in public when she was gossiping with some of the other women at a party, and she nearly went off on me and covered my mouth. After that scene, I don't think this woman ever spoke to her again. Eventually, she just stopped bringing up the story and just focused on other things she blamed me for. I don't blame those women because if your child literally calls you out on something and you're covering their mouth, that's pretty sus. Like, bro, woman really didn't want to be called out on her child abuse. Like, Jesus, dude. Well, it sounds like you're an adult now, and I hope you're in a better place, and whatever she did to you, you didn't deserve. And the final story we're looking at today is called Entitled Mom Attacks Me for Not Giving Her Child My Drink. And the title sounds pretty sus. It sounds like this mother is trying to get her child to turn up, like it's Friday or something. But we're gonna have to read on to find out what happens. And I hope that this mother isn't actually trying to get her child drunk. So this is a story about how an entitled mother assaults me for not giving her 14-year-old son my Monster Energy drink. So this happened a few months back and was too good not to tell. The fact that this is about to go down over a Monster Energy drink is just priceless. Backstory is that every Monday after school, I would go down to the shop near my school and get a white Monster and a pack of sweets. From the way this guy talks, I can tell he's from the UK, which for some reason makes it funnier to me. One day I would bought what I normally do and buy a Monster and some sweets and sit on a swing in the local park. The kids, they were always asking questions about GCSEs and stuff. Okay, so I literally did not know what a GCSE was because I'm not British, so I had to look it up, and apparently it's just a certificate saying, hey, you're allowed to go to high school, pretty much. It's not really that relevant to the story, but I just figured I'd bring it up. The kids were always asking questions about GCSEs and stuff like that, and I do my best to answer, but this day I was sitting on the swing and with my music on, not really paying attention to anything. I just broke up with someone at the time, so I wasn't really in the best of moods until I see someone trying to talk to me, so I took out my headphones, and that's where things start to get spicy. Entitled Mother, excuse me, how old are you? I'm 16, why do you ask? Can you give my son your drink, cause he really wants it, and it looks like you aren't drinking it anymore. I was doing something else, and so stopped drinking it. I'm sorry, but no, you can easily buy one from the shop near. Entitled Mother with rage in her eyes. How fucking dare you? My son hasn't had a drink in the past 3 hours. Okay, if your child hasn't had a drink in the last 3 hours, that's kind of on you. And the last thing you want to give a child that's thirsty is a Monster. I guess this mother just doesn't have brain cells. Why did I say it like that? Just ignore me. That's not really my problem, so please leave me alone. Entitled kid. How dare you say that to my mom? Please leave. I'm not in the mood to deal with your BS. This is where EM lost her crap. How dare you speak to my son like that? I know the head teacher at this school and I will get you reported. At this point, I started to get my bag and walk off because I was about to lose my crap. Don't you dare walk away from me. She then proceeds to grab my arm and pull me violently towards her child, which left a mark on my arm for about 3 days. This is where I lost my crap. Listen, I'm not gonna give your fucking child my drink, and now that you have assaulted me, I have every right to call the police and get your fat arse thrown in prison. I probably would have lost it there too, because even though I'm an introverted, shy little mess, I'm still not exactly tolerant, and I get mad very easily, so I probably would have lost it there too. At this point, a few parents and kids and a few friends showed up to help. You have no right to talk to me like that. And you have no right to assault me. At this point, she storms off with a child, and I've never seen them again. Side note, I am now 17 and still have a slight mark on my arm from where she grabbed me. I'm glad we could kind of end off with a funny story, something more entertaining than the last one, because that last one was kind of depressing. It made me sad, and like I said, I hope you're doing okay now, person in the second story. But that's going to be all from me for this vid. I'm trying to get this one out before tomorrow, because I'm going to be busy with school all week tomorrow, so yeah. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, some comment. If you don't know, like I said in the beginning of the video, don't know how to comment Karen. It would probably put the algorithm, like, make it push my video more, so I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers, so subscribing really helped me do that, and I'd appreciate it a lot. My Twitter will be linked in the description. You can go DM me stories, and I'll feature them in the video, but until then, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.